Hey everyone, this is November 27th, 2024, and this is the Effect DAO call. I'm going to hand it off to Jesse to give us any updates he has for Effect AI.
Hey everyone, great to be here again. This time we have some updates from the team on the progress that we've been working on. It's almost the last month of the year. Next cycle will go into December. So exciting times, especially looking at the developments that are happening currently. We have a ton of proposals. Like in processing, I think there's a whole bunch of proposals, and then in active there's a lot of proposals. So I'm pretty excited to go into the specifics a bit later in the call, as there's some really good content in there. But like as usual, we would like to start with some updates from what we've been working on. Mainly Jeffrey, myself, Lawrence, and the rest of the team. We've been pretty hard at work to get everything in place for the migration, as has been discussed for a while now. And I think the major message that we want to share is that things are going pretty smooth, and everything is going is on track. We've made some big progress on all the migration elements that had to be done. Jeffrey can go into a bit more details on like the technical updates that have been made, especially when it comes to the smart contracts on Solana and all the elements of the migration that we've been working on for a while. But in general, we're almost at the point where all the puzzle pieces are there. We're doing some final testing, but yeah, it looks like we'll definitely be able to do a migration properly, well executed, going like towards the end of the year. So perhaps even during the transition of the year, we will be able to really be ready and perform the migration. What that means, like, of course, there's a lot of components involved. For one, we've actually created the migration process itself. So we've looked at all the data, all the accounts in EOS, and like completed the snapshot technology to be able to inspect all the balances and the stakes, and the process of putting them onto the Solana blockchain. So technically, we've I think done most of the work now, and yeah, we're like, I think I'm gonna hand it over to Jeff in a minute when he's back. He's fixing his headphones, but he can explain a bit in detail what the elements are, how the staking system works, how the migration of stakes work, the vesting system that we have in place for making sure the unstakes are vested, and also we have the capability to vest tokens after the migration. That's all going pretty smooth. I'm thinking on some of the details perhaps that are interesting to share. There is a lot of like data we've analyzed when it comes to the token holdings on EOS and Binance Smart Chain. And the good news is that for the majority of token holders, the migration process will be like very smooth and instant. So literally have to do nothing in order to be included in the snapshot. And afterwards, you can use the newly created like dashboard for Effect AI that we've been building, very easily claim your tokens with like one click of the button. So you literally log in with your wallet, whatever you've been using to on EOS or Binance Smart Chain to access your EFX, and with one like confirm of your wallet, you will be able to claim your tokens on a Solana account. So that process will be extremely smooth. There's a few small caveats. I think there's maybe like 10 users that have a very special setup on EOS, but those are like very it's very rare, and we'll be able to handle those cases manually by reaching out to the users. So overall, that's great news. We haven't found any blockers on that side that would make the migration any like that would burden or hinder the migration process. Yeah, maybe we can highlight some of the technical details. I think Jeffrey has been is ready to go into a bit more depth when it comes to the smart contracts and the user interface that we've built. So I'm handing it over to Jeff. Hope the microphone is working.
Yeah, I hope so too. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
loud and clear.
great. Okay, I don't know what happened. I think my headset broke, but I'm on my laptop now, so sorry if the quality is not as good. I don't know what you already said, Jesse, where you left off, because I wasn't here for the first few minutes. But I don't know if you
Yeah, just some
talked.
general introduction and that we're quite optimistic on the progress we've made, but I haven't touched on any of the technicalities, like none of the smart contracts or user interface stuff. So I think that would be cool
All
to
right.
go into.
Yeah, so basically the thing that we're working on the most right now is a series of 3 smart contracts. Well, 4 actually. The biggest one, of course, being the migration smart contract. I think you talked about it a little bit. That's going to be responsible for basically, airdropping the right amount of our new token to the right users basically on Solana. So we're going to be making a snapshot on EOS and Binance Smart Chain, and we're going to have a contract ready on the Solana side to distribute the right amount of tokens to their respective wallets. Basically, that's the most important one, I'd say. And then we, of course, also are working behind the scenes on a new staking contract and a reward contract to go with that, basically. So yeah, I can talk a little bit about maybe the staking and what we have thought out so far, and I think some discussions can come out of that. Basically, for the staking, it's going to be a little bit similar to Nosana with a few upgrades, and basically the biggest upgrade that we have built in, I'm currently testing it right now, is partial linear unstakes. So instead of unstaking all of your tokens, I don't know if I need to give a little bit of background information about the staking on Nosana, but I think most people are familiar with it. So I think it's just good to talk about those features. Yeah, we also touched on it, I think, last DAO call. So I think if people are a little bit caught up, then they know what we're talking about. So partial linear unstakes are in. They're working. We just need to finalize a few things for that. But that's pretty cool, I think. We're also going to be working with a fixed unstake duration, so everybody's gonna have the same unstake time. There's no like changing, changing how long you want the unstake duration to be. It's just gonna be fixed. And stake age, of course, is a big thing. Is gonna be migrated over. So you're basically gonna have the amount of tokens that you stake. And that's gonna turn into stake age, and on the meantime you're gonna be gathering rewards, basically a fixed amount of rewards that we're gonna give a little bit more info about later. I don't think I think it's a little bit too early to talk about the amount of rewards or how long we're gonna be giving out rewards, but at least we can say that we're gonna give rewards, especially in the beginning, for stakers. So I think that's already, I'm talking already a lot. So maybe if there's any questions about that part, about the new staking mechanics, or anyone want to add something, that would be a good time, I think.
Well, we do have the proposals, which all were DAO voting on the staking system I proposed, but we'll see how compatible it is with what you've built up so far.
Yeah, maybe like to add, I think the reward system we're currently creating is it's as discussed before, we're aiming to have like a layered reward system. So like DJ's previous proposal and the proposals we've discussed in the last call, we were looking to have a reward system where there's a base reward paid out to everyone that stakes. And on top of that, we will have different reward systems. For example, DAO participation will give rewards as well. And as like we will probably go live with only a few features in the effect ecosystem. So the DAO will take a little bit longer to roll out. The first layer of rewards will solely be like the just the general passive rewards income that goes to all stakers. And that's something we've like already added. That's the rewards contract that Jeff talked about. So that one will be added already from the start. And how it works is, I think the main caveat that we're currently that we have is that this reward system does not easily combine with stake age. So the base rewards that people will receive, like this basically every second you will get like an X amount of tokens for being staked in the network. This reward will not be multiplied by stake age. That's something that's just very technically hard to achieve. It would mean a complete rehaul of that system, and I'm not even sure if you can get to a good system that supports stake age well. So what it's going to look like is that the base rewards won't incorporate stake age. They will be like base for everyone, but stake age will play a role when we look probably like the system, of course, still to be proposed and defined. But when the DAO is launched on Solana, there will be like a significant reward system involved there, similar to what we're seeing now. I mean, the DAO is currently the only reward system for EFX stakers. That is where stake age will probably play a role, as that's the place where it's easier and more straightforward to implement. But yeah, the proposals that were discussed before and the ones that are out there now, we will have to align and see what's implemented. But I don't think we've hit any elements where a proposal that's been passed by the DAO is like impossible to integrate. But yeah, that's something we can go into more detail as we discuss the proposals one by one or as a whole.
I see. So the technical implementation of the bonus APY is pretty complicated. So it's worth discussing if it's worth the effort to get it working.
The bonus APY is like the standard, just the APY you get for staking, right? The base rate, the base,
no,
like
that's
the passive staking.
the bonus is the stake age rate. So like, base plus bonus.
Yeah. Yeah, the bonus part, I think bonus will, I'm trying to find, was this in a proposal, the bonus APY?
Yeah, there were 3 proposals on the DAO discussing 3 basically tiers, 5% base and and then like 10% bonus. And I think there's another one that discussed here. Let me pull it up. 184 determining sufficient DAO rewards. And so what I suggested is the base APY plus the bonus APY based on stake age. But from what you've told me, it seems like pretty complicated to incorporate stake age into the rewards.
Yeah, at this moment, I think it's that's technically a little bit hard, I think. But the good thing is that like once we have like a base contract out there, like a rewards contract that it's separated from the staking, right? So we can always make like a few adjustments, or let's say in the new year we can, once everything is migrated over and we're in on Solana, then we can take another good look at the rewards. The rewards is only a small thing of the whole system. So basically what we're kind of working on now is just the base kind of, which is going to be a fixed amount based on how much you're staking. Of course, ideally we would also want to incorporate stake age into that, right? Because that's the main effect modifier, basically. That's would be nice to also incorporate into the reward somehow. But yeah, there are a few things from stopping us right now from doing that right away, basically.
I just want to say that it's pretty incredible that we are actually going to be doing staking rewards. You know, we've not had rewards for staking, just purely staking. You know, anytime our rewards was for, you know, DAO participation, and we would get tons of, you know, people asking questions. So I've staked my tokens, but I'm not getting any rewards. Well, you're not in DAO, you know, that kind of thing. So I think that this is a really healthy thing for us, going over on Solana. You know, it's something that the community has asked for, you know, for years while we're on EOS, and we never had that. So I just want to put that out there, how pleased I am that we actually do have that now coming.
Yeah, well, the DAO will need to, uh, I guess, have some votes, I guess, for what we want the base APY to be, as the current proposal is kind of factor in a bonus APY. Um, but you said you had ideas as well, Jesse, for like future rewards for DAO members, or are we just thinking when the DAO comes online, the rewards can be in participation and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the main, I think this base API rate should just be a bootstrapping mechanism to get people staked and rewarded. I don't think it should be the long-term way that people receive rewards. So I do have another. I think we should have a more advanced system where contributing to the network, either be it by voting, perhaps stake delegation can be a factor, or like doing work or posting tasks, all these sort of actions you do in the network that contribute value, I think should contribute, you should get rewarded for those actions. So we have that to some degree right now in the DAO, because having voting in the DAO gives you these rewards. I think that's a really healthy and good mechanism, and I really like how that works. I think that should be still one of the major reward ways to get rewarded is by participation. So I think that in the future we're going to see more of those, like not just passive staking, but more active staking being more of the biggest portion of rewards, in my vision there. And I can see it work in multiple ways, but I think when you look at the network as a whole, there's going to be fees collected, mainly from network fees at a while. Right now we have a DAO allocation that's going to distribute fees as well to stakers. But I think everything that comes in is sort of what the DAO or the ecosystem has to work with, and part of that should go to contributions to the DAO, part of that should go to passive stakers. I think that whole formula is going to take shape. But what we see now is that for like the bonus APY, so the APY that's going to be generated by having stake age, is hard to integrate into the passive staking income, because passive staking income means that everyone that has stake at every second will receive the fees like directly as they flow in. Like it's a completely automated system where you don't even need to do a transaction. Like you will collect those fees every time, even if one EFX is distributed among like 1,000 members, that will happen instantaneously. So that's something that is hard to incorporate with stake age, as stake age also changes like every second. But yeah, that's the one. There's ways we might be able to do it. I just don't think it's really worth to do it for the static fees that are generated.
Yeah, it will require some thinking. I imagine the because with the bonus we had to factor in the long term. Like I made this little simulation. It's not the most accurate because it assumes no one will ever unstake. Because I looked at the Nosana staking, and even with great reward rates, it's actually not that high a ratio compared to the circulating supply. I think it's something around 20 million NOS staked, and I think the circulating supply is like 90 million or something, 98.
I think not anymore, right? But I thought it used to be really high. But correct me if I'm wrong,
I think,
Jesse. I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe Jesse also doesn't know. It's a mystery for everyone, I think.
Yeah, Alan wrote everyone
But
starts from scratch. I would say, from what I understand, the stake age is being ported, but it, it won't be used in the staking rewards base. So for it to apply to rewards in the future, it would have to be either DAO rewards or something the DAO, proposes as an incentive to reward staking. The reason I wanted to have the bonus APY is I also have a proposal out like this in the active right now. Let me pull it up so I can say the number. 193 accelerating effect force development is, from what I understand, once we get this, staking contract onto Solana, the migration is done. I think, at least my opinion is, we want to have all priorities be on having effect force, the microtasking stuff, all that being worked on, and getting that a really good, solid, base product of people to use to, complete the microtasks and build AI data sets, without, the DAO being the distraction or anything like that. So the way I see it is maybe 1 or 2. I mean, I give it 3 years to really just get that hammer out the ideal effect force before even the DAO is implemented, with just things built in mind that eventually components will be transferred for the DAO to control. So before the migration, I think we definitely want to like settle on what the DAO would like to do, in like what would the DAO want to apply in this intermediate period when the DAO, won't be able to assemble to, vote and stuff like that.
Sorry, I was listening. I couldn't speak for a sec. Yeah, so what you're saying, DJ, is to implement the DAO after the product is there, right?
Yeah. Basically, the DAO is the governance portion of the NIFEC network, but until we have, a self-sustaining amount of people, like just, naturally using effect force, I don't think there's much reason to have, a fully fleshed out DAO, right? Um,
yeah,
so
yeah, I kind of agree with it. Yeah, I don't know in what ways it's yeah, it can be possible to. I think Jesse, you know a little bit about the DAO ecosystems on Solana, right? Maybe isn't there like some? Maybe we can go for like a quick solution or something to. I think there's like products that will give you like a, how do you call it? Like out of the box, like pre-made DAO or something, right? On Solana, or is that not the case?
Yeah, there is some of these
What's it
DAO,
called again?
like there is a DAO like framework, like there is Realms, which is like a UI
Yeah.
system on top. So you can you don't we don't need to start from scratch, luckily, like we did on EOS, but still there will be some work to make things work well. I don't think the out of the box DAOs are like that system is going to fit us well. I don't think it's very good, but we can definitely get all the foundational parts from that and then make some changes. You need to deploy it yourself anyways to have a good system. So like you always need to do some work
Right.
to launch. And also the UI, I think need a lot of work. I really dislike all the UIs for DAOs that are available.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice to just have it set up for like a proposal system, to just keep the proposals coming in and yeah, have some topics of discussion, I guess, and later on move or work in our own like custom things into it. I think that would be maybe a solution. And then yeah, if we go for that, then it doesn't have to be like that much of a distracting factor, because I do agree with your proposal, DJ. I think after we get settled on Solana, I think yeah, most of the dev work will have to be spent on programming and building the product. So yeah, I think we would have to look into if there's any temporary solution maybe, or if if the DAO has to take a little vacation maybe for 3 years.
Well, 3 years is just the leeway I give. I mean,
Yeah,
if
it's not gonna
everything
be
is
3 years.
going, operating smoothly, and then Effect Force is in a great spot. I mean, and as you said, there could be just like a preliminary DAO where you just it's sentiment proposals, because the way
Yeah.
I also have my own ideas about a future DAO that I spoke with Jesse, but I haven't really penned to proposal. Like, I think the DAO as it stands right now is not very scalable. If we had, say, like 1,000, 2,000 members, what we have now, if the proposals would be very unwieldy. Like, there'll be like so many proposals, and it'll be like really, like, I don't know, just overwhelming. Like, imagine if you had to vote on like 200 proposals, in a 7-day period. Um, so like I imagine, like, I have ideas of allowing people to delegate their vote weight to like representatives, and only like, say, like a representative with like, say, at least 1% vote weight can submit proposals, and that would make sure that it's always limited. But this is something that's like a really future proofing type, discussion, not really super relevant to what we're doing right now. So yeah, perhaps like being the DAO being able to vote for like the direction things should go would be good to have earlier. But things such as well, I guess I can segue into the proposals I put out in active. Is I believe it'll be useful for settlement for workers. Right now it's only an EFX, but I believe it should be able to be done in any crypto on Solana, such as the native token, a stable coin, or like a partnered token. If, for example, if Effect wants to partner with Nosana and there's a deal of some sort, the idea would be that the Nosana can just pay the NOS to do work, on Effect Network, and the network fee applies to the NOS. And then the DAO would be able to set which tokens are allow this, but in the intermedium, this sort of functionality could be, created by the foundation, that sets it themselves. And so the DAO would only do it in the future. Same for like network fee flexibility. I think right now the network fees just go straight to the DAO rewards, right? But I feel like it'll be much more useful to be able to choose what's done with these rewards. So, for example, whether they can be burned, they can be distributed as rewards as normal, stored in the treasury for future use, such as software development, or staked in liquidity pools. For example, if someone paid $100 worth of stablecoin to have tasks completed, and then the network fee could be raised to, say, 20% for that those $20 in USDC, for example, can be paired with the EFX that Effect already has and put in a liquidity pool. So the liquidity pools grow over time as there's more throughput, as Effect Force is being used, and this could stabilize the currency in the long run for workers, which is something I think is wanted. So like, I think historically, the DAO basically has been like proposing things for the foundation to do, but I think in the future we'll have the DAO actually setting like flags, and like setting like what's the word I'm looking for? Just setting the like variables for the effect network, changing them, as it's needed for the network to function well. And so that's what I envision the DAO doing, along with the sentiment and direction proposals and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think a big feature that the DAO has to have in a new iteration is also going to be factored around like a dispute resolution, basically in the new like network that we're going to be building. The DAO is going to be important into basically solving any disputes that might arise
Right.
between requesters and manager nodes, for example, or worker nodes and manager nodes. That's always a hard topic to fix programmatically. You cannot always do that, so you kind of need people to step in and make a decision there. So I think that's perfect, right? A DAO could be either delegating that kind of work or doing it themselves. Maybe that would be cool, I think. But
Well, yeah,
also
I was thinking exactly a delegation as well. So the DAO, I think, to be scalable, it needs to be able to delegate, things to people and just basically decide who has the authority. So for arbitration, like I was thinking about the manager nodes that you've implemented. Arbitration is just more tasks, right? You have a set of tasks of looking at what work has been done and hasn't been done properly. And so basically the DAO would just need to say this manager node is valid for reviewing, these arbitration evaluations. And they get like a fee for that. Like all arbitration has a fee associated with it. And so that way they just complete the tasks as other tasks. It's just they have a special qualification delegated to them by DAO. And so yeah, and again, like the DAO could do the delegation in the future, but the foundation can do the delegation temporarily. So basically, the way I'm thinking is a lot of these settings and parameters the foundation can do, through the smart contract, but then eventually it's something that should be all voted on through the DAO. But we can get the effect force, running without the DAO. It's just the DAO is needed in the long term because we don't want to centralize, power into the foundation.
If you do like the delegation of votes, it makes sense in some way because people are not really paying attention to voting, and that's also so harmful. So I think this is what you solve by delegating votes. But of course, also a problem is that you get like a more centralized system because people
Yeah.
might get lazy. They will get lazy, and they will delegate their votes to some entities, and those entities will become very powerful in the DAO because they will gain like mining pools in Bitcoin, right? They will gain like a lot of that vote weight that they can use to their liking. So there will be like a challenge to make things decentralized. So perhaps somehow capping or probably just motivating everyone to delegate their votes like in a good way, like in a to not have them all end up with a single entity. That will be
My idea,
interesting. It's a bit like the model on EOS, right? Or even on Solana, where people on EOS, it's like literally people delegate their votes or their stake to these BPs. Same thing basically for validators on Solana. So
the
yeah,
idea
it's
I
an
had
interesting.
is if you delegate to someone, you only get say 70% of the rewards, and then like the number is arbitrary, but you only get a fraction of the rewards, and the remaining rewards go to this representative that you're choosing for yourself. And the reason I think this could be much better in the long run is I remember we discussed how we want more workers to enter the DAO. But the workers, they're workers. They're working a lot, right? They don't have time to, really do deep dives into um, uh, every single proposal, right? So for them, it may be best to have someone that represents them. Like for example, let's say you had 2,000 workers all staked with 2,000 or 10,000 EFX. It will be much better for them to all like agree upon a representative, like like a union or something. They vote for a representative that represents their interests, and then they don't have to worry about all the gritty details, stuff like that. So I think a delegation system would be more inclusive for people who don't have the time but still accumulate the vote weight. But of all that said, this is just more my views of like that there needs to be more discussions of how the DAO is going to be in the future, but like not really pertinent to like the migration right now, right? These are just like more like long-term discussions. But I do think delegation will be helpful in the long run because I don't think we can necessarily expect everyone to participate. So, but in completely, but if we allow people to participate partially, that can give a more better representative of like the whole picture of everyone, like what people want. Um, yeah. As Alan said, also, why not have proposals have a certain number of votes to go forward? I like that idea actually. Like basically, there's like a draft, like people have to endorse a proposal to go to vote, and so you need a minimum amount of votes for that, and so that would make sense as well. that's why I haven't penned any of this to proposal, because it's still kind of in my head floating around. So it's not like a set in stone type ideas for that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the thoughts. I do think it's a bit future music, as there's a lot of proposals out there that I think are good to go into perhaps now, and the DAO one, we can of course, we won't have a DAO by the time we're on Solana probably, but of course there's ways where we'll have Discord and perhaps a forum where we can discuss. And I think that there is, like, to get a bit back onto the roadmap, I don't think there's going to be a very big delay in having a new DAO. Like perhaps several months after being over, we should have at least a basic DAO where we can make resolutions on chain, with the DAO members that are currently here using the Solana ecosystem. So that shouldn't be a massive amount of work. And I also agree with the priority of having first, like, the first thing we're going to do is put out that beta product that people can use, that we have a workforce that is doing tasks. That's going to be the main priority, and that should happen quite fast. I mean, until that's going to be the one and only goal. As soon as we're on Solana, is to have the product live, so we can have a workforce to maintain, and we can work with some projects in creating data sets. So that's going to be of course, the number one. But at the same time, having a DAO up and running is not like, it's not going to be completely paused and put on the back burner and take a very long time. That's like, it's not. We'll be able to have some system up and running, and I think development will go quicker from there on. I'm just looking at the time as well, as I do have to leave in 15 minutes, and there is quite some proposals. So perhaps we can go into some of them, DJ. I don't know which ones.
First, I guess you proposed changing the token name, so I guess let's give 5 minutes on that, from EFX to effect.
Yeah. So there's a few reasons to change the token name. First of all, like, the token will be new. We're not like, it's not like a EFX moving from Neo to EOS, or EFX moving from migrating to Binance Smart Chain. This is literally going to be a new token, and it makes sense to also change the ticker name. For one, it will be easier to differentiate and recognize the new token. But like, the old EFX is going to be without value after the snapshot, and that's something that we need to clear. Like, I think it becomes more clear if there's not going to be two EFXs. One is without value, and the other is with, like, is the real one. It just makes sense, I think, to rename the ticker. I think we have to actually rename the ticker, at least a little bit. And this has been done before, right? By projects. It's not something weird. I think it has a lot of upsides, as is mentioned by DJ, the author of the proposal. But like, the upside that it gives us a clean slate, it feels fresh. I also like, actually, the name effect better. That's a very subjective reasoning, of course. Like, but I do like the ticker effect more than EFX. And there's also the collision with the ticker of the shares of Equifax. So there's many reasons to rename it. I think it's a great idea. Hearing positive feedback on that so far, but of course, yeah, let's see what the proposal does. It's gonna be an interesting one. I feel it has a positive opinion around it.
I think so too. I think it has been discussed before to change the ticker, but before that, there wasn't really a good opportunity to do so, because we were always just on the same blockchain. It'll confuse everyone. But migrating, this is a perfect time to do it.
Yeah, I agree. There's a question from Travala. Do we have any schedule as to when the snapshot is likely to be taken? little bit of a different subject, but yeah, I guess I can clear up the confusion a little bit. So the target for the migration is actually going to be for us around the end of this year. And with how things are going right now, it looks like we're going to hit that target. So yeah, expect more information soon. This is not an official announcement. It's just an indication. But yeah, it does look like we're going to be on Solana end of this year, beginning of next year.
All right. Aside from that, Jesse, we discussed the unstaking periods. The proposal 185 was your suggestion for an 80-day, and now you kind of been considering it, and you are kind of on the number of 30 days, and also 7 days, like like a no linear. Like, yeah. Can you just explain your ideas?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and like just grabbing here, proposal 185, effect DAO voting high static unstaking period. It did pass indeed. Quiet. Yeah, a lot of abstains. I guess a lot of uncertainty. Like the 80 days was not at all like how I meant to propose it, by the way. This was more like I said in the call, like just an example of something that might work, but very randomly picked. Not at all like based on anything. So I understand the confusion around it. I think honestly it's pretty long. So to have that as a static one, I don't think it's. I think it's pretty harsh. We probably might need one more proposal on this once we have a bit more of a well-based number to work with. But what we've been discussing so far, like in a more realistic sense, is to have a 30-day unstake period and having a 7-day delay on it. So like after unstaking, you have 7-day locked up tokens. That's sort of how EFX is currently staked as well. Not related to that, but the 7 days would give us a bit more time on a protocol level to commit a full like slashing number. Because after the 7 days, you will get linearly your tokens back. So every second you will get your tokens back until the 30 days have passed and you have everything. I'm just, the 80-day one, it did pass, but it had a lot of abstains in it. So I think there's just a confusion. So I think what we're gonna do is
just a sentiment
propose.
thing. Like if you wanted 80 days, I think people would go for it. But it's not like the DAO is saying it has to be 80 days.
Yeah, I think well, 80 days would be too much in my opinion. So we're going to come up with like a number, like pretty well build up number that we think is the best. One thing we did take away from this conversation last time and from the proposal is that like the initial thought was to basically take the current unstake duration on the network that is I think 7 days, and then have a proposal on the new on Solana to increase it. Instead of this, we will definitely just go with straight away the duration of unstake that we decide upon, which might be 30 days. We're going to make an argument for that, as we think it strikes a nice balance with like what's expected within crypto. Like I think the 30 days is sort of it gives it's a nice compared to other ecosystems. It feels just like a number that is not too crazy high. Also, given that it's linearly released to you, that's a big advantage. Like you don't have to wait the 30 days before you get something. You will get it already over time. And with the little delay added on top, that's something that's already technically enabled in our contracts. It's kind of a unique element, but it gives us a big advantage on the protocol level to be able to slash for 7 days the full amount. That's a really important one. So yeah, I think that's the comments on the unstake duration. Like once we release the migration blueprint, that's still something that's gonna come out. It will come out like definitely before we announced the snapshot date, but like so that's going to be relatively soon. But there we will basically consolidate and summarize and put like a definite version of all the proposals and discussions we've had here into like a really concrete, solid document that just states the rules of the migration and how the token will perform on Solana. So that's something we will put on there. I'm not sure if we feel the necessity for another sentiment proposal on this, as we've already had the 80 days, and I think there's quite a bit of value reading the comments on the votes that we get from that already. What do you think, DJ? We can maybe leave it at the one proposal that's already been there.
I mean, I could throw it out there, but I think people are fine delegating the decision to you, but I think the 30 days is more in line to like other chains like Polkadot. I mean, well, we say 30 days, but it's really 37 days, right?
Yeah, if the one I mentioned just now would be 37 days, so that's still on the higher end.
Yeah, it's still on the higher end.
Of indeed.
If we're not doing bonus APY, I'm less worried about overstaking. I don't think we would be able, unless we like really ramp up the rewards. I'm not too worried about the treasury running out of funding for the rewards. So in that regards, I abstained because I'm fine with either way. I think 80 days or the 30 plus 7 you suggested, I think both are fine. We can just see how people think about it in the Telegram. If there are people who think it's too short, I can pen a proposal very quickly. I don't think it's necessary, as you said, as it will be voted on in the final proposals, right? Because as you said, if we're snapshotting in December, we only have 2 cycles left, right?
Yeah, if we snapshot in December, the end of December, that means we only have 2 cycles left, and it's pretty soon, so we won't be able to make any big changes to the current layout. But it looks quite positive and doable. So, but true, yeah, 2 cycles left. So the blueprint would have to be like voted on within one of those 2 cycles.
All right. The last thing I want to talk about before you go, I don't know if you have any more time left. Is a active proposal I have right now, and it's So one problem the DAO has is just funding. Something I've tried to fix with my funding proposals, whether for hackathons and stuff like that, accumulating stablecoin reserves to compensate, developers and stuff like that. And so the idea is, I don't know if there's some sort of service you can pay for it, like such as market makers, but I do think that like over like I suggested a 3-year period, but it would be nice for the DAO to have some sort of way to generate stablecoin reserves through selling EFX to be able to pay, developers to build, on the platform. Like, I think that's just a healthy thing for it in the long term. So I was wondering if that's like something that's feasible, what I'm suggesting. It's proposal 192.
Cool. Let me just pull up the proposal 192. So how would the stable coins be filled by selling EFX tokens?
Yeah, probably just selling into the liquidity pool periodically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one because indeed we need some ways to generate, I guess, other coins than EFX within the DAO treasury. We've noticed that over the past years. Indeed, DJ, you have had several initiatives to make it happen. I really like the proposal we discussed earlier, where you can use different payment tokens, like different tokens to pay for effect network services, and basically cream some fees from those transactions, and then that would create more native tokens in the DAO that can be added to liquidity pools and such. But I'm just thinking if what you're suggesting is that the foundation would manage basically liquidation of part of the tokens, maybe under certain criteria, like we saw before, where there is like strike prices that can be executed. That would make sense, except that I think maybe we can even like find alternative ways, maybe more in a decentralized way. I know there is quite some DeFi ecosystems in Solana that are, for example, they're able to put out options for purchase of tokens. So the DAO could, for example, put out some options for purchase of EFX or effect tokens at a certain price, at a certain amount of tokens. And then anyone can basically execute that option. So they can buy the tokens for that amount. But selling those options is also is a possibility we could do. So we can sell the option to purchase EFX at a certain amount. It's an interesting way to basically liquidate some tokens as a decentralized organization, as they have a nice. It's a popular way. Like I've seen it been used before. So if the DAO would sell some options to buy EFX at a certain price, then that option would have extra value as it gives some guarantee for the future. So it gives you some instant, basically cash, but also once those options gets executed, you will receive those funds as well. I can write it out a bit better, but I think there's a few ways we can do that liquidation. Like the proposal discussed before, perhaps we can sell options, and the foundation managed service could be a possibility. I'm not sure how much the foundation would want as an operational, of how operational that role would be, as I think it's very operational and needs a lot of management, that the chances are a bit lower, and it may be better for the DAO to rely on decentralized ways to achieve this.
If a decentralized way can achieve it, that would be great. I'll be interested in the write-up, I guess. This is also kind of a long-term viability thing, because this is just speaking from my own personal experience as a DAO member. There have been perceptions, like of there being less funding, at certain periods, the price of VFX, varies. It would be nice, to average out, like if all I'm saying is, looking at the history of the token and the network, if the DAO was able to just periodically sell EFX at moments of time and had like a reserve fund to pay developers, to build out effect network, I think we'll be able to get more done during, bad times. Like when the good times are good, everything's fine, but during the bad times, we need, a reserve to, keep the funding going, at maximum speed and stuff like that. So that's my main goal, is we need to like make sure we're thinking about the future long term too. Like with the Solana move, we're always thinking like, the next few months, right? Next few months. Like, but I want to make sure we have, the next few years also, ready with a proposal like this. So yeah, I think decentralized services to simplify things would be great. And I just hope you and Jeffrey can kind of look into a suggestion for, this idea that I'm proposing that can satisfy building up a reserve fund.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. That's a great, and that's the great great thing you just mentioned there. We should definitely, especially with these types of proposals, keep in mind the long term, like looking years ahead, and how can the DAO and the ecosystem survive for longer, right? Because then if we would spend everything in the treasury, then in a few months, that would definitely be a bad outcome for the project over many years, as basically the governments would like nearly stop, as there is not yet enough being generated from network fees. So it's really important to have that long-term vision in making the decisions. But I will work out I will think about the proposal. I like the 192, and I'll also write out a bit better what I had in mind before on selling options or having different ways to generate stables.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I also have to run. I think Jeffrey is just heading out,
Right.
but I also have to leave for an appointment.
And you both have a great evening, and it was a good DAO call today. A lot packed full of content.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Till next one. Yeah, and we have some exciting proposals to vote on the next 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.